Hello everybody, it's Becky from Keats Kitchen. Happy Sunday, happy Super Bowl. Today I'm going to show you how to make Market Street clam chowder soup. This recipe is a little different than most that you've probably tried. It's very unique, but it's very, very good. And I've tweaked it just a little bit to kind of make it my own, but I still say it's from Market Street Grill in Salt Lake City, Utah. Back in 1990, my mom and I went down for lunch and they were giving the recipe away. So I still have it. Like I said, I've changed a few things to kind of make it my own. Not a lot, but I'm going to show you real quick the ingredients and then we'll move on from there. So I have about 1.5 cups of finely chopped red potatoes and 1 cup of green bell pepper, which is roughly just 1 bell pepper. 1 cup of finely chopped celery, 1 cup of finely chopped onion, 2 cups of water, 6 bay leaves, 1 cup of chicken stock, and 1 cup of cream sherry, a quart of half and half. And once I pour the half and half in, I'll fill that with whole milk. I'll show you when we get to that step. We have some black pepper and some thyme, 2 cups of chopped clams, some clam juice, and 2 sticks of butter. Okay, so first thing, I am going to take the 2 sticks of butter and put them in an oven safe pan here. Put it in the oven, keep an eye on it, just to melt these 2 sticks of butter. And then when they're melted, I'm going to bring it back out and add some flour. All right, I'm going to start adding everything into the pot. We're going to add almost everything except for the butter flour mixture, which I'll show you how to make that in a minute, and the milk and the half and half. So we're going to go ahead, add the veggies, potatoes, and the green bell pepper. I know you're probably thinking green bell pepper and clam chowder. Let me tell you, the flavor of this soup is amazing. My family loves it, especially my husband. It's a hit. And celery. So I added about 1.5 cups of potatoes, 1 cup of celery, and 1 cup of bell pepper, and then I'm adding my 1 cup of chopped onions. Okay. 2 cups of water, 1 cup of chicken broth, 3/4 cup of clam juice, and 1 cup of cream sherry. Now, before you start clasping your pearls over the alcohol, let me just tell you, when you cook with sherry or wine or any type of alcohol or liqueur, the alcohol will cook out. It just gives it such a good flavor. This is one trick I learned from my grandma. If you absolutely are against it, you don't have to add it. That's your choice. But I'm just saying that the alcohol does cook out. So, all right, moving on. We have about Oh, I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of pepper. The original, or excuse me, a half a tablespoon. The original recipe calls for like a tablespoon and a half. I found that to be too much, so I go lighter on the salt and pepper, and I figure once you're eating it, if you want more pepper or more salt, you can add it. Let me grab my salt. So it calls for about a tablespoon and a half of salt as well. So I do about maybe 3/4 of a tablespoon of salt. Like I said, once you add too much, you can't go back. So it's better to not add enough. And then you can add the salt or pepper while you're eating it. So, okay, then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of thyme. Stir and add 6 bay leaves. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is start to cook this. Cook it for probably about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes until your vegetables are soft and cooked. And so we're going to let that cook. And then I'll get the butter out of the oven here soon and show you what to do with that. Okay, so I have pulled the butter out of the oven. It's all melted here in my glass pan. What I'm going to do now, I have 1 cup of flour. So this is going to be our thickening agent. Sprinkle that all in. I'm just going to take a fork and mix it all together really, really well. I'm going to pause this while I mix it all up so I don't waste time. Okay, so I have the butter and the flour all mixed together. So what this basically is a flour and butter roux, your thickening agent for the soup. And I'm going to put this back in the oven at 325 for about 30 minutes. And then once the vegetables have all cooked down and are soft and ready, I'm going to put it in the soup. Okay, that's starting to boil. So now I'm going to add the 2 cans of clam juice, all of it, juice and all. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, it's called Better Than Bouillon. It's a paste and it's so good, adds nice flavor. So I'm going to add about, maybe a heaping teaspoon of that for now. Do a little taste test when it's all done, and if it needs more, I will add more. Good stuff this is. So anyway, I'm going to stir that in. Still have a few more minutes on the flour mixture, and I'll be back to move forward. Okay, the butter flour roux mixture is done. It has been baking for a half hour in the oven at 325. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the soup. I know it seems a little weird, but oh, it's so good. And this right here helps add to the flavor so much. Oh. A little awkward. My biggest nightmare is to have a really big mishap while making these videos. Okay. Just gonna stir that in real good. Just that. Turn down my heat just a little. My veggies are all cooked down and soft. So I'm gonna let this cook for just a minute, and it should thicken up to like the consistency of cookie dough, maybe a little bit thinner. See, that's nice and thick. Let that cook for just a minute. We're almost done here. The soup's actually pretty easy, and just like in the other videos that I've told you about where you're chopping and prepping the vegetables, that's what takes the most time, but it's so worth it. Okay, so I have a quart of half and half. I'm gonna add all of this. The original recipe calls for 2 quarts of half and half, but I found that to be a little too rich. So instead of 2 quarts of half and half, I just add 1, and then I add a quart of whole milk. I just kept this for a measuring tool. Add that. Okay, we're gonna stir and cook this for a little bit, let it thicken up, do a little taste test, see how it is, and we'll go from there. I'm whisking this soup really good. It needs to be stirred constantly at this stage or it will scorch on the bottom. So I'm just thickening this up. I did a little taste test. It wasn't quite, it was almost there, so I added 1 more teaspoon of that Better Than Bouillon. Perfect now. Yum, yum. So while I'm stirring this, for those of you that are new here, and I'm still pretty new, but in my first video I explained who Keat is, or was. And Keat is my grandma Blaine, and her real name was Esther, but my grandpa called her Keat. I don't know how he got Keat out of Esther, but I never heard him call her Esther. So that's why I called this Keat's Kitchen. I was with my mom this morning and she said, "Becky, you know what her real name was?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." She was Keat. To Grandpa, she was Grandma to me, but she was Keat. So Keat's Kitchen. And the woman was just magical in the kitchen. I miss her so dearly. I hope that I can do her justice with cooking and recipes. This recipe was not my grandma's and not mine. It kind of is mine now because I've tweaked it a bit. It's from Market Street Grill in Salt Lake, like I told you earlier. So, so good. And this is just about the consistency that it should be. And when it is ready, I'm going to transfer it to a crock pot, and it's just going to simmer until game time, until we're ready to eat. Yummy. Great, great food for the cold, for winter time. So this soup, it's fairly thick. It's not thickening as much as I would like it to. Normally it does, but you know, sometimes it doesn't. So I made a cornstarch slurry. It's just cornstarch and a little hot water. I'm gonna pour a little in at a time. This was also a trick my little grandma taught me. And let that thicken up. So my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa raised me up until I was 10 years old. So I spent a lot of time with them, especially my little grandma. I remember standing on a chair in the kitchen with her. "What's this? What are you doing now? How long do you cook that?" So a lot of memories and a lot of valuable things that they taught me. Just so grateful to them. Ooh, this is looking good. It's thickening up nice. Add just a little bit more. Oh yeah. Okay, when that's ready, I'm going to transfer it to this crock pot here. We're done. I've got my soup in the crock pot. I'll show you that in just a second. But I just wanted to tell you one important thing. When I transferred my soup to the crock pot, I didn't just pour it in. I learned that the hard way one time. It'll splatter, it will splatter on you, you will get burned. So I just used like a 2-cup measuring cup and dipped it in the soup, put it in the crock pot until it's like maybe 3/4 of it is in the crock pot, and then I could take it and dump it in. But just for safety measures, don't dump the whole thing in. It'll burn you. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you the soup. Here we go. It's all done. Isn't it pretty? And it's so delicious. You can't go wrong with this recipe. Got it set to low. And once it kind of starts to bubble, I'll turn it to warm. But it's all ready for Super Bowl. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial from Keats Kitchen today. Go try that soup. It is delicious. I hope you all have a beautiful day and a great rest of your weekend. May your team for Super Bowl win. I don't care either way. Anyway, love you all, and I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye-bye.